So welcome students. Today we will try to understand the control and the monitoring of different variables in a bioprocess. Now first we need to understand what is a bioprocess. A bioprocess is any process that is involving uh, biological systems, maybe cells or the cell derived products or any kind of extracts from the biological organisms. So these processes are utilizing these biological systems for the production of some kind of economically viable product. So it can be an industrial process or on a small scale, or it can be on a large scale process where we are trying to produce some product that is commercially a good product, if that will give any kind of profits. So when we are trying to devise these bioprocesses, then we have the intention of producing the best possible product in the best possible concentration and quantity, so that the optimum use of resources is made. Now here, if we want the bioprocess to work properly, then we have to control the whole process, the whole reaction. We should be able to control the reaction changes, and there should be some systems in place that would monitor these particular variables that keep on changing as and when the process continues. So we will try to understand the control and the monitoring of variables in these biological processes. Now, the requirements of a successful bioprocess. The successful bioprocess we are should be carried out in a defined environmental condition, so that it gives the maximum output of biomass as well as the product. So we can have the biomass itself as a product, that is, suppose in case of single cell proteins, or the product formation may be the synthesis of any kind of enzymes. So this has to be done in a defined environmental condition. Defined means the different if we want the production of a particular enzyme, and that enzyme is favored with a rise in temperature to a particular range, uh, then we will try to reach that particular range. If the medium requirements of that particular product is of some specific components, then we try to add that specific component in the medium, so that the optimum production is achieved. So we are trying to establish an environmental condition that would favor the production of the biomass as well as the product formation. Then if we are defining this in these environmental conditions, then these environmental conditions or these different variables of this bioprocess need to be kept constant during the process. That is, suppose different variables may be your temperature, humidity, oxygen concentration, and so on and so forth. So there may be different kind of variables that will affect the efficiency of the process for generation of the product. So those variables need to be kept constant. Either you are whatever the variable you have established, whatever optimum has been set by, that optimum needs to be kept constant from the initiation of the product from the process till the completion of the process. So if you are starting the fermentation either in a batch mode or in a continuous mode, then those variables need to be kept constant throughout the process. So mostly there are limitations with the batch processes, that the variables are not exactly under the control of the operator, but in continuous processes where the variables can be controlled, there the process is also the output of the product is also higher as compared to the batch processes. Then these conditions that we have tried to establish, and those that we are trying to keep at a constant position, they require a kind of careful monitoring. Suppose now if set a temperature in the range of 30 to 35. So I have given a 30 degrees or rises above 35 degrees, then naturally the product concentration would change, or the quality of the product it may even change. So I have to carefully monitor that whatever conditions I have set for a particular process, those conditions are maintained. I have to keep a, then there should be a control system or a system in place which will check or correct any of 1 or 2 degrees during the process. That is maybe a change of 1 degree per hour or 2 degrees per hour. So there are deviations, and those deviations keep on adding. So the system needs to check, needs to detect those deviations and also correct them to make them come back to a set value. So there should be a kind of we can say a feedback loop that will uh, detect the changes and automatically correct those changes, so that the value is again stabilized to the set point. Now, the bioprocess variables that we are concerned with, the industrial processes, mostly in the fermenter we are talking of, are either your physical process variables or chemical variables. Now, in case of the physical variables, these may require sensors for temperature, pressure, agitator shaft power, RPM, foam formation, or changes in the weight, or for the flow rate of the medium, as well as the, if we are talking of the continuous process, then output of the product. So if we have sensors, suppose for temperature, and there are changes in temperature, then the possible control function would be either to heat up the fermenting vessel or the medium, or to cool it down. In case of foam, there may be addition of anti-foaming compounds, and that will control the foam. Then if the weight or the flow rate are changing, then we will try to re-establish the weight by change, or the changes or deviations in the flow rate by change in the flow rate. Then there are chemical variables also that are changing, and these are either in the form of pH change, or in the change of the redox potential, or change of the oxygen concentration in the vessel, or there may be changes in the gases that exit from the fermenter. So there some sensors need to be put in that will analyze any kind of exhaust gases. So the another important thing is analysis of any changes in the media composition. So for the pH change, the control mechanism would be either addition of an acid or an alkali, or a carbon source, or a change in the feed rate. For redox, we can have additives that change the additives to change the redox potential. Then in case of oxygen concentration changes, we can change the feed rate. That will be a possible mechanism of controlling the oxygen concentration. Now for exhaust gases, also we will change the feed rate. For medium analysis, the control mechanism possibly is to change the medium composition. So you decide in advance what kind of medium compositions are required, so that the pH may be in control, the foam formation may be in control, the formation of the product is maximum, the depletion of nutrients is not very fast, or addition of toxins is not there, or the secondary products that are we can say that our by side products are not being produced in excess as compared to our main product. So those changes in the medium changes also need to be ascertained, so that the product quality or the quantity is not hampered with. Then then the sensors that we are trying to utilize to check these variables, they should possess some characteristics that will make a sensor efficient for a control of a bioprocess. So the good sensor should have a response time, a quick response time, that is in how much time it is detecting the deviation from the set point. That response time should be minimum for a good sensor. Then the gain in the sensor, that is if there are particular changes that are occurring at a constant rate, that is maybe 1 degree change, suppose we are talking of in temperature, then that 1 degree change is occurring at duration of 1 hour. So every hour 1 degree is rising, so that sensor should detect the gain easily and quickly, how much gain is occurring in a given time frame. Then the sensitivity of the sensor is very important, how much change is occurring, how much sensitive it is. That is, if in temperature there is a 0.1 degrees change also, then that should be read by your sensor. So it is not that it will sense only change in 10 degrees or 5 degrees. We are talking it even cases of fractions. So it may be able to sense the changes even in fractional values. Then the accuracy is that it should give as much accurate change as much as possible. That is the limit of the error plus minus value, that should be least in case of a good sensor. So the variable, the changes that we detect should be as accurate as possible. There should be minimum error in the detection. Then the ease and the speed of calibration should be according to the process. So the calibration process of the sensor should be a quick process, and it should be done with an ease. So no sophistication or no specific specialization is required for that sensor to be calibrated. Then the stability and the reliability. So the conditions of the sensor should be stable. That is, it should not show fluctuations. So in particular hour it is showing temperature deviations, maybe uh, 1 degree to 2 degree. In another hour it is showing deviations more. The reading or the detection for that particular sensor is not very stable. It is not reading the fluctuations uh, in a reliable manner also. So whenever you are checking, it should give the exact measurements of any deviations, so that at all point of the process the readings or the measurements are reliable. Then the output signal should be such that it can be easily read out on a display unit maybe, or if it is done manually, then it should be in such a form that it can be easily read out. The person who is handling the system should be easily able to read out the output signal. Then the material of the construction is important. The sensor, should be able to resist or stand by the changes that occur in the fermentation process during the duration of the production. Then it should be robust, that is, it should be easily handleable, it should be easily moved from one place to other place without any damage or repairing requirements. Then if we are trying to put the sensor in the fermenter vessel, then it needs to if we are trying to maintain a sterile condition within the fermenter, then there should be some strategies for sterilization, and the sensor should uh, be sterilizable, that is, whatever suppose we are putting in the pH meter or a thermometer or any oxygen sensing electrode, then that electrode should be available for any kind of sterilization strategies. Then the maintenance of the sensor should also be very easy and cost effective. Then the availability of the for the purchase, that is, it should be easily available in the market, and the cost should also be minimum, so that the cost of equipment investment is reduced. Then these sensors are basically categorized in three main classes. They may be either put into the interior of the fermenter, that is, you're putting suppose for pH electrodes or dissolved oxygen electrodes, we are directly putting them or incorporating them in the design of the fermenter itself. Then there can be sensors which operate on samples which are continuously withdrawn from the fermenter. That is, if we are trying to check the exhaust gases, so if we are putting any kind of sensor there for exhaust gas, then that is your a sensor where the continuously sample is being withdrawn and that sample is being analyzed then and there. Then third kind of sensor is that where the sensors do not come into contact with the fermentation broth or any kind of exhaust gases. That is, examples are your tachometers or the load cells. Now, in relation to application of the process control also, the sensors may be either inline sensors, online sensors, or offline sensors. Now, the inline sensors are these sensors are an integrated part of the fermentation equipment, and the measured value obtained from it is used directly for process control. The online sensors, although these sensors are integral part of the fermentation equipment, the measured value cannot be used directly for process control. So there has to be some person, some manual intervention that will enter the measured values into the control system, and then this data will be used for the process control. Then the offline sensors, the sensors are not part of the fermentation equipment. The measured value cannot be used directly, and an operator is required to for suppose if you are doing a medium analysis or your dry weight of the sample is being taken, then the measured values are need to be entered into the control system for the So to measure the temperature variable, we can either use the mercury in glass thermometer or the bimetallic thermometers, pressure bulb thermometers, thermocouples, or metal resistance thermometers or thermistors. Now the mercury in glass thermometer, the mercury in glass thermometer, it may be used directly in small bench fermenters, but its fragility, it restricts its use. And in large fermenters, it would be necessary to insert it into a thermometer pocket in the vessel, which introduces a time lag in the registering the temperature of the vessels. That is, the response time is increased. So this type of thermometer can be used solely for indication, not for any kind of automatic control or recording. Then the electrical resistance thermometers. Here the electrical resistance of the metals changes with temperature variations. This property is utilized in the design of the resistance thermometers. So the bulb of the instrument contains the resistance element, a mica framework or a ceramic framework, but around which a sensing element is wound. So this kind of thermometers are normally enclosed in the stainless steel sheets if they are to be used in large vessels and ancillary equipment. Then the thermistors, these are semiconductors made from specific mixtures of pure oxides or iron, nickel and other metals, and their main characteristic is a large change in the resistance with a small temperature change. The change in the resistance is taken as a function of absolute temperature. So any reading that is obtained with a Wheatstone bridge or a simpler or more complex circuit, it depends on the application process. So these are relatively cheap and have proved to be very stable, and they give reproducible readings that it can be even cited remotely from the readout point. However, the main disadvantage with these thermistors is that the marked non-linear temperature that occurs in relation to the resistance curve. Then the temperature control can be done by water jacket or pipe coils within the fermenter. Uh, that is, you either put the hot water jacket, or you put the heating elements inside the fermenter, or you circulate the cold water or hot water through the pipe coils within the fermenter. So this can be done in small systems. They have the heating elements and a different cooling water supply, and the switches for this temperature control, they work on the principle of either on or totally off. That is, all or none phenomena is followed here. Either the switch will be on or it will be off. So that will The switch will be put on when there is a need for heating or cooling, and the switch will be put off when the heating or cooling is not required. Thank you.